The origin of life? Scientists find genes that existed before life on Earth, and I'm going to need you to explain to me how that's possible.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me, right?
Right.
Genes before life? What are you talking about? Is exactly what I thought. Because like it's like life is genes.
Right. So
Right.
how does it before?
Yeah. So here's what's going on. There might be some genes that are in nearly every single organism today that were duplicated before life shared a common ancestor. Because let's think about all of life on Earth, right? It came from a single common ancestor. That's what we think.
Yes.
Because we all have DNA and there's all these different markers, right?
Yes.
Now, for that single common ancestor, there must have been stuff before the common ancestor that were building blocks to make that last common ancestor, right?
Right.
And these guys are saying they have a way now to find genes that were there before that last common ancestor was even alive.
Fascinating.
Like the building blocks of that last common ancestor. It's pretty insane. So when we think about the last common ancestor, right? These are cells that already had membranes. They've got an inside and an outside. And they've got DNA to store genetic information, right? To store some information for self-replication. Now, these are essential traits and they've already been established. So what happened before that? And how can we tell?
Right.
Well, they look for something called paralogs, okay? Paralogs are groups of related genes that appear multiple times within a single genome. A good example is for us, hemoglobin. We have 8 copies of hemoglobin in our DNA, okay? And that hemoglobin came about 800 million years ago. That's the protein that carries oxygen in our blood. We've got 8 different copies. All of us have eight different copies. A lot of mammals have 8 different copies. The fact that all of us have that means that hemoglobin is a really old protein. So the idea is if there's repeated copying and extra versions of this gene, then the copying must have happened way early because all of us have that. So now let's look for universal paralogs, which are genes that are repeated, that like they have this repeated tendency and these copies across everyone, bacteria, us, fungi, literally everyone. What they're looking for is gene families that appear at least 2 times in at least 2 copies in the genomes across life.
And so to be clear, you're saying hemoglobin, there's 8 copies.
8 copies, but it only happened 800 million years ago.
Right.
Like bacteria don't have hemoglobin.
Right. And so we're
Plants
looking,
also.
we're looking for things that have multiple copies like hemoglobin, but hemoglobin we only see in humans and mammals.
Yeah.
And so we're saying what else has these n number of multiple copies, but in other
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally everywhere.
Yeah.
It's got to be literally everywhere because then you can make the argument it happened way back even before the universal ancestor. And they found a few.
Okay.
And all of these genes have to do with 2 things, either building proteins or managing the membrane. How to get in and out of the membrane. And that kind of makes sense.
We've talked about this. You've brought this up several times about the membrane. And it's like, how did that happen?
How did that happen? It turns out these cell membranes and managing transport across the cell membrane is something that might have happened even before our last common ancestor. Just in like random molecular processes and like proteins at a molecular level, not even a cell trying to self-replicate, but like molecules trying to get across. And if a molecule got across, it had an advantage to like do more of itself. And I think that's really fascinating. What they could also do is reconstruct the protein and produce this ancient ancestral protein that could then go across molecules.
It's molecular Jurassic Park.
Yes. And what's crazy is that molecule that's billions of years old now.
Yes.
It can traverse the same the same membranes that we have.
And
so that old use case is it can still do it.
It's like we've like reburned a CD copy of Now That's What I Call Music Volume 4. And we're on Now That's What I Call Music Volume 200.
Yeah.
But it's like
we found the old
and it got the same intro. And it plays in the same player. That's kind of a rough analogy, but that's actually
I thought that was really crazy.
This is very cool because again, what this means is we can continue to log and continue to look for these paralogs across everything that would allow us to identify these ancestors before the currently accepted universal common ancestor in terms of traversing the path of evolution from like single cell to multicellular organisms.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. This is out of Oberlin College, MIT, and our Midwest companions, UW Madison,
Of course.
in cell genomics.